Yes, you're fine.
All right, all right, all right. I should have checked all this before. But
Yeah, probably so.
anyways, how's it going, everybody? I don't think there's anybody in the live yet,
Not
but
yet.
the replay crew could see this. So usually it's about a minute or so before we get anybody in the lives. But those on the replay crew definitely could, or those that watch it later, which is very few on our channel, um, will see it. But anyways, we're just hanging out. Christmas Eve, as ready as we'll ever be for Christmas.
Hi, Anthony.
Anthony joined.
Yeah, so if we
Hi,
mention
buddy.
anything about gifts, make sure we don't say anything about his.
Oh, I'm not saying anything about what we got. I was thinking, just chit chatting a little bit about progress we've made on our property since we moved here for 4 years and 4 months.
Yeah, something like that.
We're about a week shy of 4 years and 4 months on this property.
That was absolute raw land
It
when we
was
got
raw land, covered in weeds.
it. Yeah.
Um, and that first day we got here, we set up a travel trailer. Actually, a fifth wheel that I don't even know what we paid for that fifth wheel. It was cheap.
Yeah, a few $100, I think.
No, I think it was over 1,000, but it was
Mm.
less than 1,500, somewhere in
No,
that
it was
range.
pretty cheap.
It was cheap. Like, I remember they had it listed for like 2,000, and then when we offered them basically most of what they had it listed for, they're like, you sure you want to spend that much on this? And sold it to us for about half of what we offered.
Yeah.
So great people to buy it from. It was and that's been the way out here with everybody. Everybody who we've encountered out here that lives here and has lived here for years has been a great person. They've been friendly. They've been helpful. Okay, 99% of everybody. There's been, but anyways, yes, pretty much everybody has been great. Can you even see it with it?
Yep.
Okay. But yeah, that first within the first 2 weeks of living here, we had our septic tank installed. That was the first thing. And back then we weren't doing YouTube videos yet. We probably should have started at that point, but I actually had a different channel that I was doing YouTube videos on when I was preparing our last place and getting it ready, but that was before all my medical issues and everything else, but we're not getting into all that in this one.
We're good, Ramon. Sorry. You've
Yeah.
got some comments on here.
Okay.
We're good. He's just talking about the progress we've made on our property since buying it. It was just raw land when we bought it, and now we're living in a house that we've built. So
Yeah, we bought it sight unseen. Almost like we hadn't stepped foot on the property when we put a deposit on it, but the listing agent for the property we contacted her the day the property was going for sale. The next day she was coming out here to take pictures, and so she did a video call with us while she was out here taking pictures to list the property, and we put a deposit on it that day. And that was mid-July of 21, and or early July 21. Sometime in July of 21, and then 1st of August of 21, we closed on the property and moved on here within a couple days. And actually, we moved the travel trailer here, and then it was about a week after the travel trailer was set up before we were actually living in it. Within a week of that, we had within a week or two of living in it, we had the septic set up. And we just had, when they first set up the septic tank, we just had it set up so that it was in a good position to drain the travel trailer into the septic, but also lined up where our house is sitting, literally straight out of where the where the sewer line or whatever leaves the house. It goes straight down to the septic. So it was properly placed and whatever. And it just kind of worked out that way. We didn't, at that point, when we got our septic installed, we're like, well, we can make the line go wherever we need to get here. we hadn't really planned out the house layout, and it just so happened that it was straight in line with where it needed to be for the house. Where it made the most sense for it to stub out of the house was straight in line with the septic tanks. This worked out perfect. But yeah, by the end of September that first year, we had rented I didn't know exactly what I needed to dig this dirt here. I didn't know how hard it was going to be, whether a small backhoe would do it, or if I needed an excavator or a skid steer or whatever. So we ended up at first renting a very small backhoe that was too small to do the job. I wasted about a whole day's worth of work on it without hardly getting any of the dirt moved around that we needed to move to excavate for the property, or for the house build, and went back the next day to the rental place and said, this isn't working for me, I need a bigger piece of equipment, and was then able to rent I got a skid steer with a toothed bucket. So I was able to dig into the dirt with a teeth were able to break it up, and I had it for a week and was able to excavate everything for this building, which we're living in, is technically our garage. And it's actually, we planned it to be a garage and then ended up turning it into our house. We're sitting in the kitchen dining room area right now. But yeah, so we were able to excavate the whole thing for this house. It was on a slope, so we had to dig the dirt down and pile it up behind the north and the west walls, and as you can see it was about the time that we got the excavation done on this and started working on the walls that we started on YouTube. So some of our first videos on YouTube are of us building this, working on the tire wall on the north half of the west wall, and working on these block walls. I actually did most of the work on the block walls without posting the videos for that on YouTube. I was a lot more miss than hit back then on YouTube videos. I would do one, and a month later do another, a month later, or 2 months later do another one. I wasn't just all over the place, and then I would probably do 5 or 6 of them in a week, and then skip another month or so. It was more miss than hit back then on the videos. But once it got to where we actually started on those tire walls, so we had done the first 3 courses of tires before we started on YouTube. And then that sat with just 3 courses of tires done for 8 or 9 months. And then sometime in summer of 22, we got back to working on the tire walls, and then in summer of 23 is when we really got the house structure up. But we had, the other things we were doing around the property, like getting our fencing in, and because when we moved out here, we had to bring our horses with us, and so we didn't have anywhere, there wasn't even a fence or a corral up to put the horses in. We had to just get some corral panels. We got 8 of them, and we just put up a circular corral for the horses. But yeah, anyways, it's been a lot of work, and with my medical conditions, I can only do so much each day before I just have to be done, and that usually works out to be about a few hours, a couple to a few hours throughout the course of a day of good hard work. And even if I'm sitting in an excavator, I can work all day, doing 10 hours on it, but that doesn't happen much. Like, I don't have access to an excavator or stuff all the time, but for those days I was able to get a lot done. And most of the days when I was laying block or something, 2 to 3 hours, and my body was just done, not able to keep up. And part of that was being a little out of shape, but part of it is just, my medical conditions not allowing it. So the house build has taken a long time, and we planned big, I guess is a good way to put it. How would you put that?
Yeah, we definitely, maybe should have started a little smaller, but
Maybe we should have started with a smaller garage, and
Yeah.
then we probably would have been able to get the actual worship house built.
Or maybe if I would have let you leave it as a garage instead of convincing you to turn it into the actual living quarters,
Well,
it might have been better.
You were tired of living in a travel trailer.
Yeah, we were all on top of each other. pretty
Yeah,
much.
living in
There
a
was
travel
no
trailer for as
space.
long as we did was not pleasant. But yes, we lived in that travel trailer for most of the time it took to have the south half of this building framed in. So once I got the block walls up on the south half, I didn't even have it. I had it all but 2 courses up for the rest of it. But as soon as we had all the block walls up on the south half, we closed in the south half and did the roof of the south half. Well, after filling so all of our block walls are core filled. Every single, not just every third one, but every single core all the way around the block wall is filled with concrete. Rebar in every third one, but concrete in every single one. And yeah, so once we had it core filled, the J-bolts on the top, whatever, we went ahead and closed in this south half, and we moved into the south half of the building and got out of the travel trailer. And so we went from having like, what, 110 square feet in the travel trailer,
Yeah, something
roughly,
like that.
maybe 140 square feet in the travel trailer at most, to having 640 square feet in this building.
Yeah, it was a nice change.
Well, I'm just sorry, 32, we're more than 20, about 30 feet for this half. So 326, 40, more like 960 square feet in this half of the
It's a
building.
huge change.
Yeah. So going from a little over 100 square feet to a little over, to over 900 square feet, just in moving into this half of the building. And then when we got moved into this half of the building, we're like, okay, this is nice, but let's turn the whole building into the house instead of just that south half of it being a home. And so then that kind of put the brakes on even getting started on the airship. So we finished off the north half of this building, got the roof on all of it, insulated the roof, got the metal on the roof. But just finishing that north half of the building, because it was tire walls and I had to move dirt, and I was moving most of the dirt by hand with a pick and shovel and a wheelbarrow, and doing it at night for about 3 or 4 hours. Or it wasn't even 3 or 4 hours, it was 1 to 3 hours at night, in the middle of the night in the fall, or summer and into fall, that 23. Yeah, and just each night I would get some work done on the tire wall, get some dirt moved, whatever, and then I'd go in and go to bed, and the next day I would sleep in late, and because it was too hot during the day. And that's part of the thing with my medical condition is once I get overheated, I'm done for the day. There's seems to be no amount of cooling down or whatever that can, until I have a good night's sleep, I'm not functioning again until the next day. So working over the summertime would all have to be done at night when it wasn't too hot. And up until the point where the tire walls were done, and then I had to start getting, but that got into the fall when it was cooler weather, when I was getting into working on the bond beam, the concrete beam on top of the tire walls, and then the roof and all that. But got the roof closed in, at least covered up, and then covered with plastic by the end of 23. And then sometime middle of the year in 2024 we had, what's wrong?
I was just noticing Aria's thing.
No, is it areas and units, you don't want their faces showing. I'm sorry.
You don't.
Yeah, well, I agree. Okay, I'll hang that back up. I mean, that was from a couple years ago, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. We try not to show our kids' faces on, well, I think one of our daughters have been on 1 or 2 live streams over the course of the whole channel. And they've just been quick appearances, and usually just they're back. But we try to avoid putting our kids on the video. We don't want them out there. But yeah, do we have anybody even watching?
We've got a couple people on right now.
Just a couple people, huh?
people are probably getting ready for
Well, yeah, I'm
Christmas
sure
Day, so.
Christmas. But yeah,
Yes, Anthony's still there. Hi, Virgil.
over the last year, it seems like from looking at the property or from outside, it doesn't look like a ton of progress. We have though gotten our solar put up this year. We've gotten the well drilled, and we actually went with a solar well, and because partly because when we had the well drilled, we could only afford to go 200 feet deep, and then when the well drillers were out here at 180 feet, I asked them, well, how much water do we have at this point? And it was right about 3 gallons a minute, which is really low. But they're like, it'll work. And then they knew that I was planning to go with the solar well anyways, but we had, so at 3 gallons a minute, we went ahead and stopped, and that was at the 180 feet. And they're like, you never know what the next 20 feet will hit, but they also knew that once you got down into the 320 to 360 foot range, that there was a chance of hitting salt water. And if they ever hit salt water, they had to cap the well. And then it was just a waste of all the money we spent to drill it. So we had to stop somewhere before we got to 300 feet. And we could have easily gone another 60 feet or so, but we didn't have the money to go that much deeper when we were doing it. So we went to 180 feet. We stopped at that point, had them go ahead and case it and everything. And we got the well all installed. And so when the well drillers left, it was drilled, cased, and the pea gravel all the way around it. Like it was done properly, and then the top several feet was encased in concrete, like 8 or 10 feet of it around the casing is concrete. But the well only recovers at a rate of about 3 gallons per minute, and most of that actually flows into the well from a coal seam that they hit somewhere between 120 and 140 feet deep. There's about a foot thick coal seam, and that's where about 1.5 gallons a minute worth of water flows into the well. And so it took, once we started pumping water out of it, we were getting that coal coming out of the water for about a month. And we weren't pumping like all day long every day. We would pump a couple hours, pump the well down, because our pump can pump at about 9 gallons a minute, but it only refills at about 3 gallons a minute. So we would pump the well dry and then let it sit till the next day and pump it dry and let it sit. And after about a month, we got rid of all of the black flakes and the discoloration from the pea gravel and the grayness from the rock and the stone. Anyway, it took about a month to clean out the well. And then we got it piped in to where it's at we've got a hydrant, and we're able to, pump water from the well into our storage tank. And that's one thing with this property, we've tried to set it up. Yes, we are on grid, but we've tried to set it up so that we aren't reliant on the grid, if that makes sense. We have internet that's reliant on the grid. We have grid power, but we also have solar, and it's a hybrid setup, whatever. But we've shown that on other videos. We've shown the solar setup, and the battery backup, and whatever. And we've ran off of the battery a couple nights.
Yeah, and it's lasted just fine.
And it's, with the exception of one night when I was in the hospital that night, right? Or was not home for some reason. And we were running off of the battery that night, and the battery cut out at about 4 a.m. and the solar didn't come back up until the sun was up the next morning. But once the sun hit the panels and it had about 10 minutes of charging the battery, everything came back on and it ran fine. But I wasn't here that night, so I don't know, like, other
and
than,
I don't remember. So.
yeah, it's okay. I don't remember why, like, for some reason I wasn't at home that night, and it was, I don't remember if I was in the hospital or if that was,
Or if you're out of town.
yeah, there were a few times I had to go out of town earlier this year, so that would have been back in April or something, April or May of this year. But anyways, but yes, so we've got enough battery to last on a normal night to last through the night. And like I said, I wasn't here, so I wasn't monitoring what was being used on solar. I don't know if they were running space heaters or what. Because if it was early enough in the year, there might have been some space heaters being used, and overnight that would have drained the battery pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so yeah, but from 4 years ago to have nothing but raw land that was only really, I mean, it was fenced on the front of the property, so that, and then fenced on the north side of the property, and um, and the fence along the north isn't in the best shape. I've had to do some repairs on that fence. But I've had to put up the fence on the south end of the property and repair the fence on the west because it was mostly fallen down. And I had to stand it back up for most of the length of that fence. And then, patch it and repair it. And probably should have just torn it down and put a new fence up there. And then I've fenced off separate paddocks for the animals. We've dug a pond. We've cleared some trees in the back part of the property. Had some trees cut down to be milled into some lumber. We've been staying busy here. We've been doing last year our gardens. Okay, none of the years here have our gardens really done well. We have always had issues with our gardens, whether it's chickens getting to them or it being too wet. Like this spring, our early gardens were way too wet, and they didn't do any, because we were getting so much rain it was raining every week, raining almost every other day during the springtime, and so all of our early spring crops, like our broccolis and our summer squash and stuff like that, just didn't do well because their roots were staying way too wet from all the rain. And so greenhouse definitely would have helped with that. But then the summer crops, once the weather dried out a bit, we had our watermelons and our canary yellow melons and pumpkins and butternut squash and all that. The chickens were getting to it all the time. They destroyed it. We got like 2 watermelons this year was all, whereas last year we actually got about a dozen watermelons.
Got a bunch of cucumbers here.
Oh yeah, cucumbers did great this year. I was harvesting anywhere from 15 to 20 cucumbers a day for almost the entire month of July. Well, last half of June and the first half of July. So we probably got somewhere around 450 cucumbers this year. But that was really the only crop that did well. And they were a small pickling cucumber, and we harvested several of them way too big for pickling, but and what else? And then we ended up getting a few butternut squash and a few of the canary yellow melons. I actually got 6 canary yellow melons, but we had to pick them a little bit right because the chickens found the canary yellow. They found the melon patch where the butternut and the canary yellow melons were, and so we ended up picking them. Those melons probably should have stayed on the vine about another 2 weeks, but if we'd have left them, we wouldn't have gotten them. The chickens would have. And the butternut, we ended up harvesting. Most of it actually ripened because the weather dried out so bad I wasn't watering it enough, I guess, and so all of the butternut squash ripened while it was way too small. But it was still good and it was still edible. Just very small squash this year. But yeah, the garden's been good. What else?
I don't know.
Hunting's been terrible this year. I've only seen 3 deer on our property, and all happened to be on the same day. And
Nothing since.
nothing since then, and yeah, nothing before then, and There's a video on our channel that's 54 minutes long, and it says an 8-point buck got away before I got a shot. That was the morning hunt, and I hunted that evening, and there were 2 deer I saw on the property that evening. And one of them, like, I only saw its tail as it was bounding away through the forest. Like, I missed it completely. And then the next one, I was sitting down at the spot. It's not really blind, but it's a spot where I sit and watch for the deer, and it's kind of just in the forest with stuff around it. So, but then I saw a deer about 30 yards away, and I shot high and threw a bunch of branches and missed the shot. So, just a complete miss, but it was the only deer I even got a shot at this year. So, hunting's been really bad. Yeah. But I'm trying to think what about. But yeah, I mean, as far as our homestead has gone, we went from raw land 4 years and 4 months ago to a comfortable place to live. Is it fancy? No. Is it big enough for us? Definitely. It's definitely big enough. We're not tripping over each other, on top of each other all the time, or the hallway's wide enough 2 people can walk down the hallway in opposite directions or same direction without tripping on each other.
Somebody says looks like you're in the jail rec room.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's cinder blocks.
It's cinder block, yeah. And that's
just what he chose to build out of.
I wanted our exterior walls out of cinder blocks because we are in tornado area. We're in Tornado Alley, so I wanted to have a structure that if it was hit by a tornado, I wouldn't have to worry about the whole house just being picked up and thrown across the county. There was a tornado earlier this year that hit our town, and it didn't really just sit on the ground and go through town and destroy everything. It kind of did this and just skipped over the town, and everywhere it touched down, it destroyed everything. It destroyed an auto part, or not an auto part store, but an auto mechanic shop. And across the street from that auto mechanic shop, there was a house that had been there since the 19 teens or before 1910. Anyways, somewhere 1910 time frame. And that house was picked up, twisted, and moved only about 8 inches, but then it was dropped, and it broke the foundation of the house, broke all the walls of the house, broke the roof of the house. Completely, basically, the house had to be torn down. Here is a house 115 years old, picked up and just dropped by a tornado. And when I was building this house, I didn't want this house to be affected like that. So I tried to build the whole house as if it were a storm shelter. Embanked into the earth, center block walls, core filled with concrete, buttresses along the walls, and solid corners. And to be honest, before building this house, I had never laid block before, so it's not the best. The paint hides a bunch, but it's not the best block laying job. I never claimed to be a professional at it.
But it saved us a bunch of money not having to pay somebody to do it, because we don't have that kind of money to just throw into a home building.
And as far as,
And they said no disrespect, just meant as a background, awesome you built it, so.
Yeah, no, I wasn't thinking there was any disrespect. It's just, like I said, that was just.
That's what a lot of people think, though. Like it looks like a jail or something.
And it's not. It's like the color.
I picked the color. That was my fault. I like blue, so.
I don't mind the color because it's the background color of the kitchen. We're not going to turn around and show the rest of the kitchen. It's like probably 99% or 95% of Americans. Their kitchen is going to have dishes on the counter and whatever, and that's what ours looks like. It's not perfectly spotless and clean every day at the end of every day. Like there's, the house is lived in. It's not a showroom that's spotless. So, but you got a decent view right here with the Christmas tree and sitting in it. So, but yeah, it's any questions? Anything anybody wants me to talk about, or any questions for me?
Got 6 watching. I don't see any questions yet. I'd like to purchase. Oh.
What? A bad comment?
Here you go. You can look at it on my phone. I don't want to read that out loud because I don't even get it. I hope I'm reading it wrong. Almost looks like a spam comment. Oh my gosh. Well, no, he won't be donating any of that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's mine. I'm sorry, but no.
No, don't be sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all mine. My son is yelling from his bedroom now.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? I know I've been rambling for I don't know how long.
No other questions.
Okay. Do you have any questions, sweetheart, that you would want me to? Any suggestions for what I should?
No, I don't know what else to discuss right now. Unless you want to discuss what you got for the girls.
Christmas presents for them?
Yeah.
Just toys. Dolls, Play-Doh, stuff like that. They're little, so nothing expensive.
Yeah, it's just got a little weird, so
Alright.
that's one person.
Well, you could block them and remove their chat, or if you want. You can remove the anyways,
Yeah.
you're not from your phone, you'd have to do it from
No, I already did it.
You're moderator on yours?
I'm logged in on ours.
Oh, okay.
Anyway. But yeah. We hope everyone has a Merry Christmas, you guys. I think we're gonna go ahead and end it for tonight.
Yeah.
We've got
I
some
kinda
more prepping to do.
getting with getting presents ready and laid out. Yeah, we just kinda I think that this is basically just an update on how everything was going. What we've accomplished over the last almost 4.5 years. Maybe we'll do another one of these and kind of talk more about what we've done on YouTube, because we talked about what we did with the property, but we haven't really talked about how long it took us to monetize on YouTube and all that. So maybe we'll just do that as a long form video and post it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. Hopefully, a few people hit the like or subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next video. And yeah, there's plenty of videos on our channel. If you like this stuff, you plenty to look at.
And no, we're not in prison. It's our kitchen. It's built out of cinder blocks. So.
Yeah.
And I chose the color blue. So.
You can.
But have a good night, you guys.
Somebody else said the same comment.
Yep.